I got a vodka robot.
I just said, yes, man, right away, anything.
All right, so yes, today we are gonna make homemade vanilla extract, but first we need to make some vodka. This is a still. I'm not kidding, this is a still. This is called the MyVodkaMaker, and no, they are not a sponsor of the channel. The guy who made this, I actually met him on Reddit. It was a discussion about making continuous stills, whether or not it was possible to turn that into a hobby-sized item. A continuous still gets its name from the fact that it runs continuously. It gets a constant feed of wash dropping down through it to preheat it. By the time that wash gets down to the bottom, it's already starting to distill. So the vapors go up and your back set, your waste products, goes down to the bottom and gets siphoned off. So the things run all the time. And normally when you see them in like a vodka distillery, it's gonna be a still like 40 or 50 feet high and probably have a couple of different columns to it. And there will be ports all along it and tons of plates for purity and all that. There's like a whole bunch of different places on that giant column where you can take off all those fractions as you want. The guy who made this, he's from South Africa. I don't know what his background is, but he's obviously really smart because he figured out how to do this in something that is this small. It's itty bitty. That's my coffee pot, that's the still. What's cool is that just like a commercial-sized continuous still, this thing has ports for all of the different fractions. And then there's a little peristaltic pump on the back that slowly pulls in the wash that you need. It's quite frankly mind-boggling. I have no idea what he did in here. But there's like a computer board in here. The thing talks to your Wi-Fi so you can set different settings on it. He really went to town on this thing. I'm gonna send this to the liquor fairy and try to make some vodka with it and see how good it is. So first things first, we need to make a sugar wash. And if you've watched my channel before, you know that I like making an invert sugar wash. All we're gonna do is get about 25 pounds of sugar. We're gonna put about 5 gallons of water with that sugar to dissolve it on the stove and bring it up to heat. And while it's warming up, we're gonna put in some citric acid. Now the citric acid helps to break down the sucrose molecule into glucose and fructose, which is going to be easier for the yeast to break down into alcohol and carbon dioxide. So once we get that all dissolved, we're going to bring it up to a simmer and let it go for about 20 minutes. And now that sugar has been inverted and we can use it for our sugar wash. And once that's cool, then we're going to throw in some yeast nutrient and our yeast. And I like to throw in a little bit of Epsom salt to give some mineral nutrients to the yeast so they're even healthier and happier and have less of an opportunity to make some off flavors. We're gonna add in enough water to get 12 gallons total, and then we're just gonna let this ferment until it's done. And if you wanna make your life a little bit easier, give it a few days to settle for all that yeast to drop out so you have a fairly clear solution. Okay, so now that the wash is done, I just have to give it to the liquor fairy and give the liquor fairy the new toy. So I got to watch the liquor fairy hook this thing up and get it running. In the box you get your vodka maker and you get some hoses. One of them has this little weighted basket on it. That's going to be dropped down into your sugar wash. And then another tube, and this one's got a little piece of copper on it, and that's going to hook into your waistline on the back. The one thing the vodka maker does not come with is a power cord. And that's because he's shipping this thing internationally, and it's easier for most of us to find one of these universal power adapters. And it's like the kind that goes into like a PC or a PlayStation. It just plugs into the back there and you're good to go. So you plug your feed tube into the pump and drop that line down into your wash. Plug the waste tube into the back and then run that line preferably into a sink or just into another bucket. You put a jar here, somewhere for the waste to go, and that's basically your tails and your back set. Now it's way slower than a big column still or a pot still that you've got 2 to 4 to 5,000 watts just blasting into. So it's not going to take that 20 gallons and turn it into vodka in 8 hours. It's going to do it over the course of a couple of days because this little guy puts out drops at a time. You'll get between 1 and 2 bottles of vodka every day, which is pretty decent, especially considering the fact that you don't have to babysit it. You don't have to sit there the whole time and adjust your deflegmator. You do not have to make cuts. Let me say that one more time. You don't make cuts. It does it automatically. That's bonkers. That is bonkers. I don't have access to a column still. My Liquor Fairy has a couple of pot stills, so this is actually kind of awesome for me. I've hypothetically made vodka a couple of times in the pot still by sending it off to the Liquor Fairy and having them run it several times through the pot still with a thumper and gotten it up to 83% purity. This thing, first run, 90% every time. Stable 90%. I know that there's some guys out there watching this and you're like, bullshit, right? Because that was the response that he was getting from all the commenters on Reddit. They were all like, no, you cannot do it in something that small. Because most of the people who've ever done one of these continuous stills for a hobby scale, it's still pretty big. It's still almost keg boiler size. And it's got to be something that sits in your garage or, you know, a shed or something. So here's my time lapse of this thing running, just so you can see it work. Let's have a taste of the vodka and actually see if it's any good. Now keep in mind, this is 90%. To get this down to drinking strength, you basically have to double the volume of water. Yeah, that is sitting right at 90%. All right, let me add a little water. I just did like 50-50 to get it roughly 40%. And the cool thing is, it smells like nothing. It just smells like ethanol. And it tastes like vodka. It doesn't have a sugar bowl aroma, doesn't have a sugar bowl taste, doesn't have a yeasty flavor. It just tastes like nice clean hearts, which is exactly what we were going for. So yeah, good job, dude. Good job, little robot. All right, so I'm gonna put a link for the My Vodka Maker down in the video description so that you can check him out. So now that we have this sugar wash, we gotta talk about what we're gonna do with it. We're gonna make some homemade vanilla extract. I did a video on a chocolate oatmeal stout a little while ago. I'll put a link for it right up here just in case you're curious. And in that, I used some Ugandan vanilla beans to help flavor the beer. Give it a little bit of a vanilla kick. I used Ugandan vanilla beans because they have this weird chocolate note to them. I got them from today's sponsor, Olive Nation. Olive Nation makes tons of flavorings and extracts, and they also sell some of the best vanilla beans I've ever come across. They've got vanilla beans from Tahiti, Madagascar, Mexico, Papua New Guinea, and also Uganda. You know, the cool thing is, making vanilla extract is super simple. I took my vanilla beans, split them down the middle, put them into jars, and then you just let it age and sit for about 6 months to a year, and then boom, you've got your vanilla extract. And this is only about 3 days old, so it's not very dark. And the cool thing about Olive Nation is that they sell all these different types of vanilla. So if you want to mix and match, if you want to make something that no one else has, if you want to make a Madagascar, Ugandan, Tahitian, Papua New Guinean vanilla extract, you can do that because they've got you covered. So if you want to check out anything from Olive Nation, stuff to flavor your seltzers, your beers, your vodkas, anything you might need, and weird sugars, check out their baked goods section and you might find some interesting sugars in there that you can use. Check out the link down in the video description and in the top comment, and make sure if you buy anything, use this coupon code so that you can get a big fat discount on anything on their site. So thanks, Olive Nation. You are making my weird hobby super awesome one more time, and I really appreciate it. All right, so when you're making vanilla extract, you can, like I said, just chop up your beans, throw them in there, let them sit on 40% ABV vodka for a long time in the dark. Or if you're familiar with rapid aging spirits, this is the exact same thing, but with vanilla beans. I threw the vanilla beans into the vodka and I got a big pot full of water, got it boiling. I had one of these little canning trivets down in there. You set your jar down in there and let it boil for about 20 to 25 minutes, and then turn off the heat, take the jar out, and let it cool to room temperature. Now, the problem with cooking alcohol in water is that it boils inside here. So you may crack a jar, not good, or it may just start boiling so vigorously that it kind of blows the seal on your jar, and you end up losing a good portion of it. About 50 mils came out of this, and it was vigorously boiling inside the jar when I pulled it out. So not super safe. Also, I don't necessarily think it's worth it. If you really need some vanilla right now, Olive Nation has you covered. You can just get some amazing vanilla extracts from them. I happen to have one that I still use. This Madagascar bourbon vanilla is quite nice. If you need some vanilla now, get the vanilla extract. If you want to do this experiment, then just be patient, because this stuff is, I mean, it's reminiscent of vanilla, but it's got a bunch of harsh flavors in it that I don't really like. This, on the other hand, it's only been sitting for 3 days, and it smells as sweet as candy. It's got a little sheen of oil on top coming out of the vanilla beans. And it's got that chocolate note from the Ugandan vanilla beans and a little bit of a fruity character, like dark stone fruit. And I have no idea how you get that in a vanilla bean, but it's pretty awesome. So that's how it's worth it, and that's why you would make your own vanilla. Make something that literally nobody else has. Don't just go buy vanilla beans from the grocery store. Buy something that's unique, and then make your own vodka, make your own vanilla extract for your family, and give it out at Christmas gifts. Start now so that it's probably going to be ready by Christmas time. Maybe, we'll see. Like I said, I've read that 6 months to a year is pretty common for homemade vanilla, and you know, I believe it, because really it needs to be a lot darker than this. So I'm just going to put it in a cabinet, give it a shake once a week, and we'll see what happens. And around Christmas time, we'll make some eggnog with our own vanilla extract. And before we wrap things up here, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of my patrons and all of you guys down here. You guys are absolutely astonishing. I called on my Patreons for a little help this last week, and man, did you guys come through. Thank you so much. I literally could not keep doing this without your support. You guys are making it happen, and I am grateful. And as always, you guys are definitely keeping my lights on. Thank you so much. All right, so I think that's gonna be it for this video. I had a really amazing time playing around with this thing, and now I have my own vanilla extract, which I've wanted to make for years. I also have a steady supply of vodka, which is great because we're gonna do some more projects using neutral spirit coming up here in the future. So stay tuned to the channel. If you learned anything, if you enjoyed this video at all, do me a huge favor. I know I say it every time, but hit the like button, because it really helps out the channel. As far as the YouTube metrics, the algorithm looks at stuff like that and says, oh, people like this video, maybe we'll recommend it to someone who hasn't seen any of Bearded's videos. Maybe they'll like them too. Do me a solid. If you want to see what I'm going to do next time, do yourself a favor, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit the little bell icon right next to it so that you can get notified when I post new content. If you have any questions about the My Vodka Maker, feel free to ask. I am not a scientist and I'm not an engineer, so I'll do my best. If you have some suggestions on what to do with the homemade vanilla, please post them down in the comments section down below. All right, thanks for watching. Talk at you later. Oh, my butt's numb. Ow.